when you're in the groove, man, you're in the groove. And you can't tell me you can take a person off who's in the groove and bring some dude on from the sideline who's been sitting there watching as a supporter who comes on the field and going to get into that same groove.
There's not six halfbacks, right? I mean, we found that's been pretty clear, and Roy Gardner's way above the rest.
Razor and the boys are building depth. I'm quite sure of that.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
DSPN, our postmortem continues into the Rugby Championship, the All Blacks performance and everything attached to both. Our man Murray Mexted joins us again, All Black legend in his own right. Mex, a great friend of the show. We always love your thoughts and your comments, mate. And I know you've got a couple of things that you do want to bring up today, but I want to ask the first question is, when you look at that whole competition to where we were at the end of last year, to where we were after the French series, after Wellington and the debacle that was, has this All Blacks side improved right now where we are left with after the end of the competition?
And the short answer is no, but the long answer is probably the fact that Razor is trying to develop a squad more than a team. Now, they have said that when they've been interviewed, that this is more than just a team of 15. And I think we must evolve with the game, and Rusty Erasmus has set the pace by saying, hey, I haven't got a first 15, I've got a first 45. And he's interfacing players and really getting similar consistent results. Not totally consistent, because who would ever have dreamed Australia could beat the Box at Ellis Park, at altitude. So he's come unstuck a few times. We have too, but it makes me think that our selectors are trying to do the same. And so on the show about a week or so ago, might have been 2 weeks ago, I said, for the life of me, I can't work out why there are 5 open side flankers in this squad. Now, that was pretty naive of me. And at the end of that comment, I said, Artie Severe's clearly one, so there's no room for the other 4. But I was thinking as a first 15, not as a first 45. Now, I mean, if Rusty Erasmus is doing it, I'd say Razor and the boys will be doing it this end too. They're trying to develop 2 in every position.
At least.
Maybe 3 if they're lucky.
Yep.
And so that would explain why there are so many short open side, or so many short flankers that can't win first phase possession, which is the thing that I've been most concerned about. I know people will say, Murray, there's other ways to win the game, but quite frankly, if you don't have 50% of possession, you make it hard for yourself, and all you have to do is have a whistle-happy referee and you're down the tubes. So once again, in that game against Australia, we got 47% of possession. Now, for an All Black team claiming to be ranked 1 or 2 in the world, you've got to be able to get more than 50% of your own ball, don't you, of possession during the course of the match. So that is my issue, and I think that the selectors, maybe they aren't focused on possession at the moment. Maybe they're focused on developing a really big squad, 2 and 3 players in each position, because players don't seem to play consecutive test matches all season these days. And in fact, it was hard to do it any day, but it's harder to do it now. And you've got the subbing of players not because of fatigue. And I think listeners and people watching the game will say, why did they take that player off with 25 minutes to go? He was playing really well. Well, there's psychology involved in selection when you're balancing 45 players for a 15-man team.
Sure. Taking
the field. And so there's players that they have to fit in, give game time and all that sort of stuff. But I do think it's premeditated, a lot of this stuff, because
feels it.
There's no logic to when they trade players. So, it's a matter of, are they doing it well? Are they doing it successfully? The proof's in the pudding. What are the results like? The results aren't great, but they're okay.
They're okay.
So they're buying a bit of time. So they've got, what have they got, 2 months, Marty, isn't it, till they play again?
No, 4 weeks, mate. 4 weeks.
Is it only 4?
Yep.
Oh.
End of October.
Is that, Chicago?
Yeah, end of October's Chicago. Yep.
Yeah, I might have to go on that one, I think.
Yeah.
I think I might have to hop on the plane.
Did you go and
I went to the last one.
Yeah,
I went to
close.
the last one in Chicago.
I remember.
And I didn't get to bed that night. I had to go straight to the airport.
Mate, those are the best nights, aren't they?
At the airport.
Good Lord. And come on, how old are you now? Can you do that again?
Oh, no, I'm not sure about that. I normally leave the country when it's my birthday, so no one knows.
Right. Well, look, we've got that big test, and I want to talk to you about that end of year tour, because these are 4 really important games for the All Blacks. But what you're saying, Mix, are you saying that you're kind of accepting the psychology of what the selectors are trying to do here? Because I'm old and I'm in that All Black thing where I want to win every game and I want us to play really well in every game, and it really frustrates me when we don't play well in every game. At the same time, the world has changed on us, and there is a World Cup every 4 years, and everything seems to be focused towards that. And this guy, Rassie Erasmus, has won the last 2, and if we're going to compete with him, well, he's obviously doing something right. So are we looking at him and going, well, maybe we actually have to get on this train too? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think you've summed it up pretty bloody well. But it's easy to be smart, isn't it, for us, to pass comment after the game.
Mm-hmm.
You're always better after the game. Your viewpoint has more perspective because you adjust it depending on what happens. But what we are talking about at the moment is a little bit different. It's the psychology of selection. So it's psychology as in having substance in every position so that when there is injuries, and there are a lot these days, when there are injuries, you've got a substitute that's not coming in off the cold. And I think it stood out to me. I was interviewing for Sky TV in Wales a few years ago, and Warren Gatland was the subject. And I was sitting there, and I think I don't know the exact number, so the listeners will have to excuse me, but he said, well, I sat on the bench for Sean Fitzpatrick for 83 matches or something ridiculous like that. I mean, that really does emphasise how the whole thing's changed.
Sure.
Because, you look at some of these players who are, Karifi, for example, he's probably played about 7 games, but has he played 7 games? He was selected to start 1. The numbers soon bounce up, and then people become comfortable in that environment. And so Karifi now is in that environment. He knows what he's going to get, and he can go, and if he's selected, he'll go on and he'll be able to handle it because it'll be more comfortable in his headspace.
Yep.
I mean, headspace is a massive thing. We just didn't understand it back in the day, but now everybody understands it. And mental strength is equivalent to physical strength, and I think, in fact, a lot of people say it's more important.
Hang on. What did you call it back then? And because you talk about this a lot, and you talk about that inner resolve, and you talk about being left on the field with 10 minutes to go and wanting to be in that space and wanting to be in that place and things like this. And all of that. And I've asked you a few times whether you think this is natural or whether with Irans you were able to infuse this in people and teach them if they didn't have it. Is it the same?
Yeah, well, I guess I was pretty ignorant and naive when I was playing. It's a long time ago now. But a few years after I stopped playing, NZRU, in their wisdom, JJ Stewart, I think it was,
great name,
decided they should develop a few former players into becoming either good coaches or good administrators or good supporters of the game. And I was amongst a group of fantastic people, actually, that went to Massey University on this, what was it, a symposium or something, I don't know what you call it.
Haven't heard that word in a while, symposium.
How many days it was. But one of the subjects Gary Hermanson presented was on mind management. And in those days, they called it mental skills, but really it was about mind management. And it just opened up a whole world to me at that stage. And I thought there was so many things I didn't understand. But knowing myself, I started to understand myself and performing at a certain time. But it was too late. My career was over. I've now become a bloody commentator or something silly like that. But I then sort of took it on board, and it was one of the main reasons I started IRANS, was to be able to prepare rugby players and coaches for a career in rugby and being able to manage their mind when they're under pressure. And that's got to be the greatest advantage you could ever have on a rugby field. In a lot of other areas too, not just on a rugby field, by the way. But if you're mentally stronger than the guy you're marking, you're gonna prevail. And so just Gary Hermanson just opened up a whole new world to me. And in the end, I became a sort of a junior lecturer underneath Gary on this very subject, mind management or mental skills. And at the same time, Gilbert Anoka was doing this with the All Black team.
Yep.
It was about the same time in the early 2000s. It was 2000, 2001, I think. But anyway, that's another story. But it is a very important component. So when you've got players who've been on the field and got used to it and can maybe develop their strengths, their mental strength, so they can perform at their maximum every time they play, then that's got to be good. So Razor and the boys are building depth. I'm quite sure of that. Otherwise, they're shocking selectors.
Well, yeah.
7 guys.
43 players.
Capable of winning.
43 names, Mex, throughout that Rugby Championship series, which Rassie had 47. So that's a lot of names, but you're explaining it in a way that I think all of us are starting to get it. Not if you don't have to like it all the time, but if it works in 2 years' time, it's a great thing, right? If it doesn't work in 2 years' time, well, I suppose we're asking the same questions we're asking now.
Well, that's right. And I said last week, why have they got 7 guys all fighting for one position when Artie's got that position sewn up? Well, the answer is that they're trying to find 3 out of the 7. And the other 3 will go back to Super Rugby and continue to grow and maybe get selected again. So that's the case. So I would say that the next, and I guess when you look at the front row, they've been doing that effectively, haven't they, under Jason Ryan? Jason Ryan has actually been doing that, and I can't remember a time in All Black history where we've had 6 front row forwards, all of whom you'd feel happy about selecting
all
in
of
the next game against the
consistent
Springboks.
standard. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's a good thing. That's a hell of a good thing.
Really important. So the thing that's screaming out to me, and I hope Razor gets this, are the 6 locks you can throw on the field against the Springboks.
Well, we're trying, aren't we?
I don't know if there are.
Well, we're trying.
I mean, I can't name the 6 locks. If they can, that's fantastic. Are the 6 blindside flankers or number 8s who can win the ball in the air? And the answer to that is no, there aren't.
Not yet. No, not yet.
Plenty of open sides, plenty of front row forwards.
But you could ask halfbacks. You could say halfbacks,
locks.
Max. There's not 6 halfbacks, right? I mean, we found that out. That's been pretty clear. And Roy Gard is way above the rest. So we can't just pretend and pluck players out of nowhere and go, hey, that guy's going to be good enough. This end of year tour now, we've got 4 big tests. Ireland and Chicago. England at Twickenham is a hell of a test. Scotland at Murrayfield, and that's not an easy game either. And then Wales at the end of it, who that 4th game is always bloody tough as well. When you know this, you've been on tours. By the time you get to that last game, you're just about on the plane, and Wales will be sitting there going, my God, everything about our rugby could change if we really run the All Blacks close or give them a good game here. So what are your objectives out of this? Do we continue to experiment with players, or do we go there hard-ass going, no, it's more important for the All Blacks that we close out this season and win all 4 of these games, and therefore the consistency of selection applies?
Yeah, that's the balance. The latter is the balance. I mean, in my opinion, the last game of this tour against Wales, they'll start with 15 players who only got bench time, only got match play from the bench.
Yep.
Because of exactly what you said, it's the last game of the tour, and there'll be a lot of guys that wouldn't have had enough rugby, who they're trying to build and trying to grow. So, it is all about that depth. I'm sure it's all about the depth. And there's a balancing act, isn't there, between, playing a game to win at all costs by playing your best 15 players, or playing with a vision for the future by throwing 1 or 2 positions in there to try and grow them. And Peter Lakai, they did that with Lakai, didn't they, in this last test? All of a sudden they saw this guy came on, and then I think he had about 18 minutes or something on the field, and he had the ball in his hand so often and made yardage when he was, nothing sensational, but taking a pass, making good yardage, maybe beating a player or two. That's about all. But they thought, gee, this guy's on fire. Let's throw him into the last game.
Yeah.
And, and then we didn't see him in that game. Although some commentators seem to think he played well, I didn't see much of him in that game. So I don't think you'll see him play at number 8 again. He'll be one of the guys playing for those 3 open side flankers that they're going to have to pick. But I want to see where the other. So by the time they select the team to go to, and they won't be taking 47 or 43 players, will they?
No.
On that tour.
Probably
I'm
33
not sure how
maybe.
many it is.
33, maybe 36.
33, maybe 35.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. The rules keep on changing, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So I would say there'll be a couple of outsiders that we won't have thought of. I'm not saying Lord is an outsider, but I think he'll definitely be one that'll go away because we haven't seen any play at that level, and yet he's got the height and size and ability. And Darry is another one too, who also hasn't had any game time, and I think he'll go on that tour. They'll take some more locks, and they need to take some big loose forwards. They'll probably turn Vi into a blindside flanker.
Well, he's out for the season now, Max. He's gone. The injury's taken him out. Yeah, he's gone now. Yeah, that's
okay. Well, that in itself opens up the ball game. I mean, there'll be a couple of players like Arcoy. I would have liked to have seen Arcoy. I spoke about it once before, playing as blindside flanker. And in fact, I must give Richard Watt, who I know quite well, a ring and ask him what he thinks about Arcoy as a blindside flanker compared to a lock, because he's a good rugby player. It's very clear he's a good rugby player, and he's got the right sort of commitment in the game. But he hasn't had a lot of game time as a loose forward, taking him away with an All Black team and playing as a blindside flanker because he can get aerial possession. Is not the best thing in the world, but it's happened before on many, many occasions.
Plus, we've got this New Zealand 15.
It'll be an interesting team.
Yeah, I don't call them the All Blacks 15. There's only one All Blacks 15 to me. I mean, I'm old school like that. This New Zealand 15 as well. We've got that as well. And there's an opportunity to blood players through that as well. So it's not just that All Black squad that goes away, which is why, in my mind, after losing in Wellington, and this is just me, I want to see us go away and win all 4 of those tests. I don't want to see too much experimenting. I think that it would be really good for this particular team to close the year out with 4 wins. That would be a hell of a way to finish, wouldn't it? Winning a Grand Slam for this season.
Oh, they have to win the 4. They have to win the 4 in my mind. They've already lost a couple this year.
Yep.
And remember, over 100 years of rugby, we've won 79%. So they've had their losses already this year. They can't have any more. They can win those games. They can win those games on tour.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're right. England at Twickenham is psychologically a difficult game.
Mm-hmm. Never easy.
But psychologically, we are strong because of Gilbert and Oka, I think, and that's sort of become a bit of a machine. That's part of the development of first-class players. And I'm sure with Gilbert stepped aside now, there'll be somebody in his place doing the same thing. And what I want to see is some of these second and third players in each position getting a little bit of game time. And I'm sure that some of them will get game time against Wales at Cardiff.
How do you think it's going to be reffed up there, mate? Let's finish off.
You don't think it's going to be what?
Now, how do you think it's going to be reffed up there, these games? Hopefully they, because it was frustrating again on the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't like to see the whistle going that much, do you? Because the more the whistle goes, the less game we're watching. I want to see the game. I really do want to see the game. And the beauty of our game in comparison to some others is there's a contest. There's a contest everywhere across the field you can look. From the time you kick the ball off, there's a contest for who's going to win the ball in the air. From the first line out, from the first scrum, from the first tackle, who's going to win that? That's what I want to see. I don't want to see the referee becoming the most important person on the field. And World Rugby, you have to have a very, very serious look at it.
I agree.
I mean, the thing that worries me is that every time you see the Northern Hemisphere matches, the grounds are full. There's 60, 70, 80,000 people all the time. And we're fighting for spectators these days. And I'm sure the referees in New Zealand and Australia have opened up the game a little bit and let the game flow a little bit. But I'm not quite so sure about those Northern Hemisphere referees. They still seem to be playing a major, major part. But in this tour, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll be all European referees.
Agree. Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. I mean, you could get an Australian referee, for example.
Yeah.
You might get is there an Argentinian referee that's you might get a South African referee. So it's not necessarily just all English, Scotland, Ireland and Wales.
French, Italian, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a couple coming through, aren't there? Romanians, Italians,
Georgian,
Frenchmen. Yeah.
All right, give us a pass,
I just
Mark.
want them to let the game win.
Give us a pass mark overall then for that Rugby Championship for the All Blacks.
Well, now that I've sort of worked out what I think they're trying to do, and it may not be right, of course, is to build 2 and 3 players in each position. I'd give them about 60%, no more, to be frank. And I think that's pretty generous. I mean, losing to Argentina, losing by the score they lost in Wellington, will haunt me to the day I die.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that. And at half-time was a very competitive game, but I was feeling good. But at full-time, I wasn't feeling so good.
No. Neither was anyone there. That's
So,
why they all
you know,
left.
I can't give any more than 60% really, I think. And I think maybe I've got to be a bit more patient, and that you can't play your best 15 the whole time because players don't last any longer, and they can probably prove it. But yeah, you did ask that question before. One of the things that frustrates me is sometimes when you're in that test match vibe and you're playing on the field, and the difference between winning and losing is nothing. It's one small decision, one mistake, or getting one ball that you shouldn't have got in the line out, changing the result. You know, when you're in the groove, man, you're in the groove. And you can't tell me you can take a person off who's in the groove and bring some dude on from the sideline who's been sitting there watching as a supporter, who comes on the field and going to get into that same groove. Gee, you've got to be really skilled at mental skill development to be able to get into the same groove as a guy that was fighting the fire for how many ever minutes he was on the field. And I reckon that's why you see the frustrated look in the eyes of players. It's not only being pissed off that they're being taken off, but it's their concern, their preoccupation, their worry about whether that guy coming on can slot into the groove and not cost us the game.
DSPN.